initial impressions of the offense?
I think we got a chance to be pretty good. Chance is always just a chance, till you get it kind of going together. I do think that we're mature in the right places. I think we're really talented young. Now that doesn't amount to much, right? And there's a lot of the thing that we're going to have to combat, particularly this fall, is we're finally to the point where everyone's telling us how good we are, and we are good. But I do think that you can't just you're not going to win games because people tell you you're good, right? You're not going to win games because you think you're good. You're going to win games because you do all the things that it took to get you here, which is the work and the practice and the physicality and the toughness and the team that we've been able to build over the course of the last 4 years, leaning into that, right? And there's a brand new team, brand new opportunity. We raised hands about how many newcomers we had in the room the other day. There's 40-something bodies standing up. So I mean, it's a bigger shift from when we walked off the field, at the end of last season to what it looks like right now than probably you think it is, And so getting out there, and I think we've been fast. I thought first day in shoulder pads, I thought we were physical. We're not quite to where we want to be from a tempo standpoint. We're not where we need to be from a depth standpoint, but I think we got a lot of parts, and we'll see if we can continue to pull those together and stitch them together and push them to the point where, where we can be good on offense again. So.
How have you seen Kevin develop since that last game in the college football playoff?
Really excited about Kevin. He's done a great job since January when he walked back on campus, and there was a different demeanor about him. There was a seriousness about what he could potentially accomplish with his career, and now that he's the guy and running our show, it's been fun to watch him for the last 8 months to get to here, and to see him out here the last 3 days. He's always got a great calm demeanor in the huddle and understands it, but there's a maturity level that he kind of there's an air that he kind of walks around with that guys are when he talks they listen, and I think that it's fun. I think he's been super intentional about trying to protect the ball and do those things that he said he wanted to be without putting handcuffs on what makes him a great player, and some of the creative things that he can do. But I think that great maturation going on right now, and that's got to translate to full pads, and that's got to translate to live bullets, and that's got to translate to sustaining a drive and doing all those things. But right now, I think there's some not cautious, but there's some optimism that exists there, and we just want to make sure that we're farming that the right way.
You said when he talks, they listen. He is a quiet guy. Is he talking more now in this role?
Yeah, no, I think he's done a great job of that, and I think he really has since he's been back. And really towards the end of last season, he was a guy that was trying to step in, and they did. And now they're when somebody needs to say something, boy, they're the ones that they're waiting on doing. He was a guy that had a chance to break our rock for our entire team when we ended our Coach Grizz's summer session and everything, and everybody knew who it was going to be. I don't think there was any question when he walked up there to take that sledgehammer what was going on. So, yes, I've been really proud of him. Again, he's got to keep coming. We've got a tough schedule this year, and we're going to be tested early, non-conference, and then we got to go into a conference game. I think we play 6 or 7 teams that won 9 or 10 games last year. So it's we've got to elevate. We're out kind of to prove. We made it here last year. It was like we got to raise our level. We did raise our level. We were able to do it. Now we're to the point where people are saying, okay, well, you got to prove it. You're still the 3rd best team in the league or whatever. You guys, nice year last year. So we're not going to sneak up on anybody, but at the same time, I think that we've got, if we're going to have sustainability over time, we've got to go out there and prove that we believe in all the things that we say we believe in.
Jaron's talked about how much depth he has and talent along the offensive line. They really feel like they've got too deep there. What's the competition looking like across that position?
Yeah, I think it's the best. We've got a chance to be the best offensive line that we've had since we've been here. We're certainly the most athletic, and now we're starting to match the athleticism with the size, that you look like big-time programs need to carry in order to make a playoff run again. And so that's fun. I think that we are in position where the first 3 years that we've been here, man, we had like 6 guys that could play. Then we got to 7, and there were like 8 guys that could play last year. Now we're in the world of like, man, maybe 10 or 11 guys are going to be in position to help us win games, this next year. I think it'll be, I think our left guard spot's a lock. I think our right tackle spot's a lock. I think that I think our left tackle is playing really good right now. Birdman's been as good as he's been. Andrew Chambly's really stepped up to be a third swing tackle that can really help you and give you some flexibility there. I think he's a guy that's pressing to play in games right now, which is exciting. Good place for us to be. I think Addison Nichols will start. Where he ends up, I'm not exactly sure yet. Josh Bates is going to push him there. Nate Anderson's going to push him there. Alex Woods has had a really good, off season, and so has put himself in the mix. I really think that we'll know in the next week or so the trajectory of where Draymond Odoms is at, where Abel Hoopi's at. So we've got some. We got a lot to work with. We'll see. There's where it ends up. I don't know ultimately, but we are athletic. We are serious. Coach Justice has done a great job not only building that room but bringing them together, and that's one of the hardest things to do. And I think that we've got they're a serious, fun group that understands what it takes to win games, and also they're really talented. And so that's kind of a fun combination. And if you're going to be experienced at certain positions and inexperienced at certain positions, particularly on offense, you kind of like it to be your quarterback and your offensive line. So that's good starting point. Again, there's cautious optimism that exists here, because I don't want to get to the point we can't as coaches contribute to what everybody else is telling them, right? We can't contribute to the love that exists there, and that doesn't mean we have to lie to them. We don't have to tell them they're not good, but we have to make sure that we continue to refine, and we continue to push, and we continue to hold them accountable to the things that we said, which is them holding us accountable to the things that we said also, And so, fun time. I think there's really got a chance to have a good offensive line. But ultimately we'll see here.
Is that a theme with the team as a whole? Like, they've been good. They're being picked third in the league. They're probably the top 25 team at worst. Like, is that a theme that you guys have to kind of not babysit that? But
no, I think, and I told our tight ends this yesterday. I thought we had our first practice 2 days ago, and we're in shorts. I mean, shorts are fun, but it's like shorts, right? So we get out there and we're competing. And we had some success against the defense, scored a couple touchdowns late, did all that stuff. Well, we also kind of were crappy in a bunch of parts during practice. We didn't do what we said we wanted to do from a standard standpoint. We weren't great in these. So what my point to them was, yeah, we scored these points, and we can go in there and we can pat ourselves on the back for scoring points, or we can go in there and really be hard on ourselves about the things that we didn't get right? How are we going to move forward, getting our guys on the field and off the field better? How are we going to get to a development standpoint? And I think they responded to that the last couple of days. And so, again, we're not going to win any games because people tell us we're good. So we're going to have to do the things that we've done in the past, which is unbelievably hard work, right? We got to be relentlessly physical. We got to be tough. We've got to build a team, right? We had a great team last year, and you saw all those teams that took championship pedestals across college football. Nobody ever gets up there and talks about the individual, right? They all talk about the team. So the more that you got a chance to develop that, then I think that puts us, in position, to your point, to have more success. So
Hibner's production obviously took off last year, unfortunately, when RJ went down. And now that you're going to have both and you've seen what they both can do, how much different does that make the way you deploy the two tight ends?
Yeah, I think it's great. I remember sitting up here the very first meeting I ever had with you guys, and we were talking about, man, I'd love to be playing a whole bunch of tight ends, and we just didn't have a lot of tight ends then. And so now to have a mature room with three guys that have played a ton of snaps in this league and in this level, you've got really guys like Tripp and Adam who have come on and really done that, and then we've got, Miles Uter's had a good 3 days. So is he going to be ready to play this year or not? Whatever. But it's like, we've got a room that's taken on the responsibility of leadership. We lost so many skill players on the perimeter, so many, our backfield. There's such turnover at that standpoint that we're the skill position that's got the most returning, leadership opportunities. And so that, we got to step in and fill that void. And I think there's been some maturity. I think anytime you look at all your top, we're a players not plays offense. Right, so if our best players, we've got 2 of our best 5 skill players are in the tight end room, then we're going to have an opportunity to get those guys on the field. Hopefully a lot at the same time, but that'll just kind of depend on where this offense goes underneath Kevin. So,
what have you seen from RJ from the disappointment of being injured when he was having such a good season to start, through the rehab process to now being close to being cleared?
Yeah, it's funny how God works things out sometimes. I think that was probably something that was the first, like there was like this huge major obstacle in his life, and he had always relied on his skills, and he's got great skill, obviously, to do that. And so this, I think, really, this inspired the rest of his development from a complete game, right? If he's going to be a great contributor in the weight room, if he's going to be a great investor in the training room and all the other facets of being a great football player, right? Taking nutrition seriously, taking weight seriously, taking all those things. This was kind of maybe the catalyst that helped him do that. And I've said that to a number of NFL scouts that it's been really good to see his development to the point where you can see that he's always been a super serious football player, right? He's a great classroom guy, he's great on the field, he's a competitor, he's a good practice player. But to see the rest of that thing develop around him, around an injury, and to come back strong and fit, he's 240 pounds right now and is moving around, really well. And so it'll be fun as he continues to get more and more into practice and we build him back up into his football shape. It'll be fun to watch both those guys kind of operate in this offense.
Week one for him?
I think that's the goal. It's a lot's going to have to do with how it responds once he's full go here. He's in some of this and in some of this, so we got to get next week. We'll do a little bit more. The following week we'll do a little bit more, and so I think that we'll know here, like in 2.5 weeks or 3 weeks, that we'll know how good he feels about that week one. But we're not in a rush. We're taking care of him. He's got he's obviously a proven player here, so he needs reps so he can get in football shape, but he doesn't need football reps necessarily. We just want to get him back where but he's eager and he's hungry, and I'm excited to get him back out there.
Is that kind of a tough conversation to have with him when you bring in Matt Hibner last year? You say we're bringing in another guy. He was the guy. You're going to split snaps. How did you kind of navigate that with him, and how do you feel like he's gone?
I thought they did a fabulous job, and that was two hard situations. Matt came here with, he was a guy that was just right on the cusp of playing at Michigan a lot. He graduated from there. We knew we needed somebody that could supplement RJ. We had Ben Redding played really good snaps for us in 22, and then RJ really carried us in 23, right? And by the end of the season, when he was playing 60+ snaps, there was impossible sustainability, and he knew that. And there was conversations about that early in the 23 season, later in the 23 season. Like, we need to go get somebody that can help supplement this, so you can play 40 great snaps, and we can find somebody else that can play 40 great snaps. And so, anytime you take two talented as individuals as they are. And, I think that RJ was the established guy, but had a real mature sense of that. Matt was kind of an unproven guy, but had just won a national championship. He came in, was really humble. They both did the work that they had to do. I told him to trust the offense. This is an offense that has supported two tight ends through its history, and so it's just stay the course with what's going on there. And I was proud of those guys. They leaned into each other. They trusted Coach Lashley, and they trusted our system and what it was that we did. And they ended up having almost identical stats, by the end of that thing. But it was the thing that I was most proud of, right, is RJ catches his touchdown to break the school record, and the first guy that meets him there to pick him up is Matt, right? And then so we beat Pitt. Matt scores his first ever career touchdown. He's running down there. The very first text message that I've got on my phone post-game is RJ's, with a picture of Matt running down the sideline. So, they really leaned into that, and I think that they enjoy the fact that they got two guys that can be in there, because they can split attention from the defense, right? And so that now you're not got one guy, that's the guy we got to watch. Well, we got to watch that guy too. And then you put somebody like Jordan and Romello in the game, and it's like, okay, guys, we got a real problem out here on the perimeter. So